native land. True patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
I invite you to receive these words of invocation. On this day of celebrated accomplishment, we are filled with gratitude, thankful for the land that has sustained us, thankful that our diverse paths have been brought together, thankful for the friends and the families that have supported us, for dedicated faculty and committed administration. As we step off this stage and into the rest of our lives, may our knowledge be coupled with wisdom that we might bring healing to the land. May we be filled with continued wonder and compassion that we might enrich the lives of those around us. Enable us to explore and embrace so that the play of life might resonate with peace. In the gift of love we pray. Amen. You may be seated.
Mr. Chancellor, Mr. Vice Chancellor, members of the board, fellows, faculty and staff, family and friends, and graduands, welcome to the celebration of convocation at the University of Guelph. I'd also like to extend a special welcome this morning to our honorary degree recipient, Paul Mohan, and the candidate for the title Professor Emeritus, Douglas Dalgleish, who will both be formally introduced to you in a moment. I'm Maureen Mancuso, the Provost and the Vice President Academic, and I'm privileged to have the honor of opening this ceremony on behalf of the university. And I would like to officially congratulate you, our graduands, on your momentous achievement. I hope you will join me in thanking the many people, family, friends, and mentors who have supported, encouraged, and assisted you in the pursuit of your studies. Today, we mark the end of one chapter of your lives and the beginning of a new one. You made it here today through years of effort and hard work. Now it's time to turn towards other goals and new challenges of increasing complexity and impact. Your journey of learning did not begin here at Guelph, nor does it end here today. If anything, it builds upon your experiences of the last few years to become more arduous, more enlightening, more productive, and more fulfilling. You came here to develop the possibilities and resources of your own minds. You came here to change your lives, to devote some time to learning essential skills and acquiring knowledge, to challenge yourself and extend your capabilities. Here in our community of scholars, you had the freedom to learn about the world and to learn about yourself. We hope you learned a great deal about how you will fit into and affect the world. We hope you see your path more clearly and that you see how your contributions on that path can lead to a better world. We have tried to help you prepare by opening your eyes to ideas you might not have encountered, cultures of which you were unaware, perspectives that complement and sometimes contrast with your own. We have tried to help you to think critically, to reject simplistic answers to complex questions, and to refuse the empty satisfaction of half-truths and partial solutions. Ultimately, though, we have shared with you one fundamental lesson: there's always more to learn. It's now up to you to start applying that lesson and those skills. We send you forth as representatives of the University of Guelph, and we know you will make us proud, and we hope you're proud to wear the Guelph name. As you probably noticed, even when you were first applying to universities, we eagerly call attention to the exploits of our graduates. Be one of those people whose accomplishments we trumpet. Be someone who makes a mark on the world, someone who demonstrates the power and the potential of higher education. Take this responsibility seriously, because to quote my favorite fake American president, the West Wing's Jed Bartlett, decisions are made by those who show up. So now I say to you, graduates, flushed with the pride and powers of the finest education we know how to provide, show up. Show up in your own lives and live them critically, live them wisely. Show up in the lives of others, family, friends, and strangers, and make them better, directly or indirectly, however you can. Show up in the world, not just as pictures on Facebook, but as someone who makes a difference, even if that difference is harder to discern and doesn't go viral on YouTube. Most especially, show up as active, aware, caring citizens of your country, your city, your world. And that includes voting today in the provincial election. Wherever your future leads you, please don't forget that even though you may no longer be on campus, you are still part of our community. Your association with Guelph, like your journey of learning, is lifelong. We hope that you will feel welcome to return from time to time to share your accomplishments and experiences with your fellow alumni, your former professors, and the future students who will follow in your footsteps. And so once again, I bid you welcome, enjoy this ceremony, take pride in what it represents, and remember all of those people who have helped to make today possible. I offer you my personal congratulations and every best wish.
Mr. Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate of the University of Guelph, it is my great privilege to present to you Paul James Moen for the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa. Dr. Paul James Moen is a distinguished professor at Massey University in New Zealand, renowned as a leading authority on mammalian protein metabolism, dietary protein quality, and food evaluation sciences. Over the course of his 30-year career, he has helped make New Zealand a world leader, integrating food science and food engineering with nutrition and health of both humans and animals. As a young man, Dr. Moen intended to become a doctor in medicine and eventually enrolled at the University of Auckland Medical School. But fortunately for us, his passion for agriculture led him to change his mind, and he went on to earn an undergraduate and graduate degrees in agriculture and science from Massey University. He started his career in animal sciences, and over time increasingly focused his research on food evaluation science and the relationships between human health and nutrition. He was the founder and inaugural head of Massey's Institute of Food, Nutrition, and Human Health in 1997, and the co-founder and co-director of the Reddit Institute, aimed at innovation in food and biologicals, which is now one of New Zealand's 7 government-funded centers of research excellence. He has co-authored more than 300 peer-reviewed papers, edited 5 textbooks, delivered more than 190 invited international and significant national addresses, and supervised more than 45 graduate students and postdoctoral fellows. In 2012, He was elected chair of an expert consultation panel that reviewed recommendations on the characterization of human dietary protein quality for the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations in Rome. That effort is now leading to a multinational research initiative to more accurately define the nutritional value of protein in a variety of foods. Dr. Moen has received numerous honors for his contributions to food and nutrition science, including Fellowship of the Royal Society of New Zealand, Fellow of the Royal Society of Chemistry, and the New Zealand Prime Minister's Science Prize. I now ask you, Mr. Chancellor, to confer upon Paul James Moen the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa.
By the authority of the Senate of the University of Guelph, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Science. Congratulations.
Great.
Mr. Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate of the University of Guelph, it is my honor to present to you Douglas Dalgleish for the distinction of University Professor Emeritus. Dr. Douglas Dalgleish is renowned for his pioneering contributions in many areas of food science. He has generated a vast body of knowledge that has had a deep impact on the dairy industry in particular. Every dairy scientist in the world associates his name with the elucidation of the structure and interactions of milk proteins, especially the structure of the casein micelle, as well as the function of dairy proteins in food emulsions. His career has reflected his love for science and his dedication to the pursuit of knowledge at the fundamental level. He has contributed 181 refereed papers to the scientific literature. In 2002, he was added to the ISI list of the most highly cited researchers. Dr. Dalgleish has used theoretical and fundamental science to solve real-world problems. His insights into how milk behaves during processing will benefit scientists and product developers for decades to come. Perhaps his greatest legacy is a long list of highly accomplished former graduate students who now serve in scientific posts around the world. Dr. Dalgleish continues to serve on graduate advisory committees and assists or teaches graduate courses on food and dairy physics. He remains at the foremost of dairy chemistry and continues to publish theoretical work at the highest level. His contributions have helped position the Food Science Department at the University of Guelph as one of the leading institutions in dairy science. In well-deserved recognition of his illustrious career and its outstanding international impact, I ask you, Mr. Chancellor, to confer upon Douglas Dalgleish the distinction of University Professor Emeritus.
By the authority of the Senate of the University of Guelph, I have the honor to name you University Professor Emeritus. Congratulations. Dr. Paul Moen will now give the convocation address.
Chancellor David Mirvish, President Alistair Summerlee, members of the University of Guelph, my fellow graduates, ladies and gentlemen, please let me begin by saying, well done to all of you graduating here today. You should be proud of your accomplishments, and you should take further pride that you have graduated from one of the best comprehensive universities in Canada and one of the top universities in the world in the field of food and agriculture. Today, you are not just a graduate, you are a graduate of the University of Guelph. That will stand you in good stead as you establish your career here in Canada or elsewhere in the world. Bask in the moment of your graduation and look forward to your future, which I know will be full of opportunities and good times. Well done also to partners, parents and grandparents, family members and friends, because you too have been an integral part of the success that we celebrate today. I would also like to publicly thank the University of Guelph for the honour that has been bestowed on me today, that of a Doctor of Science honoris causa. I am humbled by this award. It means a great deal to me, particularly coming from an institution I have admired so much. Ostensibly, the award recognises my own achievements in science, but really it recognises the inputs over the years of my family and many colleagues and students, including colleagues here at the University of Guelph. In particular, I would like to mention the close working relationship I've had over many years with Dr. Case DeLonga, but also with faculty members Professor Emeritus Douglas Dalgleish and Doctors Melina Corridouche, Jim France, Ricky Yada and Brian McBride. Ihara taku toa, I te toa takatahi, engari I te toa takatini. Anything I may have accomplished is a tribute to the many who have made it possible. So, graduates, what lies ahead for you? I've already said that your lives will be full of opportunities and will be laced with many high points, but there will also be challenges. When one looks to the future, it is your generation that is faced with some of the world's greatest challenges. The combined global threats of climate change, food, water and energy security, and profound demographic and societal changes have been described by some as the perfect storm. It is largely your generation that is going to need to confront this. Now, you may think it's somewhat unreasonable to lay these challenges on you at a time when you are here to celebrate success. But a university education carries with it some expectation that you will be in a better position than most to make a contribution to our future. A university education will have given you a basket of useful knowledge, but much more importantly than this, it will have given you the skills of independent thought and critical analysis. It will be these skills that will empower you to make a contribution. Also, you should not see graduation as an end point to your learning. Learning should be continuous. And do not feel that you should be confined by your chosen discipline. Reach out to art, literature, music, film and philosophy so that you can bring to the table an holistic view. I have no doubt that your generation collectively can and will mitigate the effects of these processes. A new generation of scholars working together and across disciplines, cultures and global boundaries will ensure humane and sustainable solutions. To make a worthwhile contribution, however, you are going to have to be versatile and open to move with the opportunities when they present. The days of having a single job for life are gone. You each face a dynamic, fast-moving, globalised workplace. This is not to be feared. This is not to be feared, but rather should be seen as exciting and potentially very rewarding. Even when I look back over my own career, albeit lived out in less turbulent times, the only real constant has been change. After leaving secondary school, I was enrolled firstly for medicine at Auckland University, but at the last moment pulled out and went instead to what was then a small New Zealand university to study the agricultural sciences. I am so glad that I did. What I found at Massey University was a very warm, supportive academy that provided a first-class, broadly based education. We really learned how to learn. I initially took up an academic post and taught and researched in animal nutrition. But a chance meeting with a senior colleague who had been Director General of the FAO in Rome inspired me to take a greater interest in human nutrition and world food security. This I did, which then led me ultimately to head up a team in the food sciences focused on the interplay between food structures, digestive physiology, and human health. Along this pathway, I moved from research and teaching to 25 years of senior university leadership, whereby I founded a large multidisciplinary academic institute and set up 3 university research centres. The pathway has always been peppered with international, industrial and political interfacing. For me, it has been a wonderfully creative career, full of ideas, scholarship, travel and great people. It certainly hasn't been dull. There will be challenges, but there will also always be opportunities. You only need to grasp them. Now, spare a thought too for your university, as it also is going to face profound change. Managerialism has entered the universities more and more over recent years, threatening the unique self-governing aspect of the community of scholars. The notion of academic freedom and intellectual autonomy, often enshrined in a country's laws, are becoming increasingly challenged. Gone are the days of the university as an ivory tower. Governments worldwide are demanding a return on their funding and are looking to innovate their economies through knowledge generation and knowledge transfer. This requires much closer connection between universities, communities and the commercial sector. And this in turn presents both opportunities, but also it presents threats. Universities face changing demographics and volatility in the number of school leavers and university entrants. But perhaps the most striking recent change is the so-called massification of university education. The number of people attending universities has greatly increased. And whereas this has real benefits, in my view, we are also at risk of dropping standards and losing the personal development aspect of a university education. People can become numbers. Massification has often meant very large class sizes, passive lectures, and knowledge dissemination as opposed to true education. Another major and related change is that universities, especially the larger ones, are rapidly forming global networks and are offering free of charge what are called massive, open, online courses. Such courses have the potential to greatly alter the face of higher education. All these developments herald changes for universities. Ironically, however, they may play to the favour of smaller provincial organisations. In my view, such universities need to specialise and they need to focus. They need to provide unparalleled campus experiences, relatively small class sizes, and close staff-student interaction. They need to offer broad-based education, emphasising communication, critical thinking and problem-solving skills, and often merging science with thinking from the humanities and social sciences and vice versa. They need to really understand what is meant by the research-teaching nexus and focus on the broader total educational experience. Critically, these universities need to know what they stand for and have an identity and clear strategic focus. To be a no-name university will mean relegation to the sideline. In the future, there will be greater differentiation among universities and a greater differentiation between the quality and meaningfulness of their degrees. Well, I can see in all of this a great future for the University of Guelph and for the Ontario Agricultural College, with an opportunity to build off its proud history of achievement in food, agriculture and the life sciences. This, coupled with its ability to provide a comprehensive education, will allow the university to cement a niche reputation for first-class delivery of broad-based courses addressing real-world issues. If we look forward towards 2050, I doubt that a single Canadian university will survive in its current form. The next decade will present an increasing pace of change, and inevitably choices will have to be made. As alumni of the University of Guelph, all of us have a stake, and we must all assist the university to make these choices wisely. Fellow graduands, ladies and gentlemen, let me return to the present. For now, each of you will be thinking of taking up a professional position or maybe pursuing postgraduate studies. Do so with the conviction that you have had a first-class education. Whether you remain in this wonderful country of Canada or travel abroad, be proud of your academic and national heritage and hold it close. The University of Guelph has provided you with all of the necessary raw materials. You have the talent and the education to take on the world. Go forth and do it. Finally, graduands, kia hora te marino, kia whakapapa punamu te moana, kia teri te karo, he rohi amua I tu huarahi. May peace be widespread. May the waters that you will travel over in the years ahead glisten like greenstone. And may their shimmering light guide you safely towards your destinations.
Thank you, Paul, for those insightful and encouraging remarks. Well, the moment has arrived. Will members of the graduating class please stand? Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars who have fulfilled the statutory requirements laid down by the Senate of the University of Guelph that they may be admitted to their various and several degrees.
By virtue of the authority vested in me and in the University of Guelph, I hereby accept you for admission to your various and several degrees with all the rights, privileges, and obligations appertaining thereto.
Will members of the graduating class please be seated?
Hi everyone, my name's Robert Gordon, Dean of the Ontario Agricultural College, and I would like just to remind everybody to hold their applause until we've had a chance to recognize each of the graduates in each of the program areas. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you this scholar from the Ontario Agricultural College that she may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts Honors Program. Anissa Kolashaw with distinction. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the Ontario Agricultural College that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Bioresource Management Honors Program. Kirsten Filter. Mark Gabrielle Jackson. Jenna Cassandra Laura Mackay with distinction. Samantha Kelly Seawald. Alicia Marie Turgeon. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the Ontario Agricultural College that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Commerce Honors Program. Emily Laser with distinction. Dee Mao. Melissa Catherine McKinnon. Ursina Bianca Stodhalter with distinction. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the Ontario Agricultural College that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Landscape Architecture Honors Program. Melissa Koderi. Emily Marie Cousins. Ian Fife. Natalie Gibbs. Kira Lee Harding Ketchbow. Kin Lam. Nichelle Yvette Leeson. Garine Renee McLeod. Danielle Rose Rancourt with distinction. Ryan Christopher Harlow Upton. Shane Wasserman with distinction. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the Ontario Agricultural College that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Science Honors Program. Emily Jane Allen. Fiona Valerie Blackburn. Stephanie Lucy Burgoyne with distinction. Bethany Bliss Brown. Samantha Rose Couchy. Matthew Chan. Catherine Marie Ruby Klein. Melanie Corbell. Mika Korivu. John Gregory Drummel-Smith. Andrea Falknick with distinction. Sarah Maria Ferguson with distinction. Brett Aaron Fong. Caitlin Forbes. Brittany Fothergill. Joanne Mary Elizabeth Garnett. Lisa Kathleen Gibson with distinction. Navina Gotovac with distinction. Brandon Guild with distinction. Mary Frances Hanley. Jason David Oy with distinction. Stipe Vincente Colomarnes with distinction. Lauren Johnson. Justina Karamath. Gabriella Claire Kovacs. Jamie Kwan Yi Lam. Stephanie Lam. Alicia Rose Lawrence. Allison Victoria Lee with distinction. Jacqueline Lee Kim with distinction. Vivian Sheyun Lung. Irene Liu with distinction. Cale Stephen Matisik with distinction. Aaliyah Dimitri McIntosh. Alicia Emmeline Michael with distinction. Kevin T. Nagan. Jessica Margaret Elaine Norris with distinction. Narissa Ongo. Peter Park with distinction. Trudy Posthumous. Victoria Catherine Pringle. Heather Nicole Reinhardt. Dorsa Saedi. David Seymour. Morgan Cleary Shaw with distinction. Heather Christine Stewart. Carol Ta. Zi Lam Tong. Tasha Valente. Rachel Catherine Van Wessenbeek. Jody Margaret Vickers. Alexander Ross Whittle. Teresa Louise Williams. Jeffrey Wu. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the Ontario Agricultural College that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Science in Agriculture Honours Program. Matthew Valbert Eastman. Paula Emily Krasko. Jennifer Ritchie. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the Ontario Agricultural College that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Science in Environmental Sciences. David Isaac Berkowitz with distinction. Amy Lynn Boudreau. Nolan Peter Campbell. Sean William Ellison. Kimberly Ann Farias. David Lachlan Hillier. Angela Cabby. Tara Mather. Tashi Sering Nanglo. John Russo. Ankit Sanjwan. Stephen Andrew Sandi. Jacqueline Saturno. Eliza Solis Mart. Brandon Matthew Spruill. Pascal Eric Tarazi. Cassandra Susan Wisner. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the Ontario Agricultural College that they may be granted the Associate Diploma in Turfgrass Management. Aidan John Fitzgerald. Brian Lewicki. Jacob Bradley Martin. Adam J. Rocky. Paul Douglas Sullivan. Alexander Taylor. Sean Van Burden. Please join me in congratulating all of our graduates.
Can I ask you to give it up one more time for the Dean, who did a great job with all the names? Mr. Chancellor, I would ask you to confer the various and several degrees on the graduates listed in the program, but unable to be at this ceremony.
By virtue of the authority vested in me and in the University of Guelph, I confer the various and several degrees in absentia on the graduands not present.
Mr. Chancellor, so you did it. You've even got the piece of paper that says it. You managed to get across the stage without falling over. And you would probably imagine that you're good to go. Well, not quite. You've got to sit here and listen to me talk just once more, and I can go on for hours and hours and hours. In fact, you could say, I am the only thing that stands between you and the rest of your lives. But don't worry, I'm not going to speak for too long. I really want to do just 3 things. The first is I want you to look back. I want you to think back for a moment. Think of all of the things that you've done here, all of the things you've learned, the people you've met, the friendships you've made. What would you say was the most fantastic thing that happened to you? What was the worst thing that happened to you? What was the stupidest thing that you did? So from up here, it's just amazing to see your faces. As I ask you to recall various memories, there are shadows that pass across your face, and you can see that there's something going on in your cerebral hemispheres. You smile fondly when I ask you to remember of something fantastic. You frown when it's something that wasn't so good. But then when it comes to the stupid bit, there's actually 2 quite different sets of people. There are those that have this incredible glint in their eye, as if to say, yeah, that was really good. And then there are those of you that look really sheepish and think he's been creeping me on Facebook. So why do I say this? Well, it's because you need to cement those memories in your mind. Much to the chagrin of those on the stage here and others who are your teachers, it's very unlikely that you're going to remember the facts that you were given. In fact, if truth be told, many of them have evaporated already. So, if you don't remember what you did in your classes, what is it that you do take away from here? Well, I really hope it's much more than that parchment, that piece of paper. Much more than a string of notes or a set of files. I hope what you take away from here is to be part of a society, part of a group, and of course, most appropriately for the University of Guelph, part of a herd. Part of a herd that cares. Cares about the world, cares about the animals, and most especially cares about people. So I said there were three things. First was to look back, and because you now have that piece of paper that says that you are extraordinarily intelligent and one of the elite in the world, I bet you're all thinking that number two is to look forward. Well, you'd be wrong. Because the second thing that I want to do is I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to be involved, to be engaged in the critical, social, political, and humanitarian issues that face this world. I want to ask you to work tirelessly for tolerance and understanding. When you see intolerance, or you see people failing to understand, don't be angry, but just turn round and use those skills that you have learned here to stamp out injustice, to fight for those people who cannot, to speak for those individuals who have lost their voices, and above all, to care. Care for the people and the planet around you. Because it's only by caring that you will truly make a difference in this world. And sad to say, we absolutely need you. In a world that is riven with injustice, that is challenged by dogma, prejudice, and disadvantage, our absolute hope is you. Do something. Do something. Actually, I don't care whether you decide that you will be one of the future world leaders, and I suspect there will be one here at least, who will take on some of these daunting challenges. But I'm going to suggest that there is something much more powerful that every single one of you can do, and that is to make a decision today, now, that every day for the rest of your lives you will do something to improve somebody else's life. Imagine that played forward. How do you do that? It's really simple. Do you know there's one trait that distinguishes human animals from all other animals on the planet? And that is that if you smile at another human being, no matter how miserable, fed up, angry, grumpy they are, if you smile and keep smiling at them, like you're doing, they can't help it. They smile back. And in doing so, you change the world and their lives for the better. Find ways to include people of all ages and stages, all genders and races, in everything that we do to make this a better planet. So, take your parchment. Take your values and ideals that you have learned here. Most especially, take your friendships that will last a lifetime. And get out of here. Those of us that are left behind will be watching you with enormous pride. So I said there were three things. Look back. I wanted to challenge you. And the third is that I actually want a favor. And that is that you represent the future. And I would beg the privilege of being part of that future by taking a selfie with you as a mark of the connection that we have together. So just excuse me a moment, would you? Thank you. Following convocation, the Dean has made arrangements for a reception in the atrium of the Science Complex, and I hope that you'll take the opportunity to attend. Yesterday, they promised us biblical floods with the terrible rain, and it didn't rain at all. They've done the same today, and I'm trusting that they were wrong again, because if they have, it will be an opportunity to take a lot of pictures, because those too will be the memories that you will share. And when you come back as alumni, as we will have alumni weekend in a couple of weekends' time, you will bring back your pictures. This year we're having people who are not only 10, 20, 30 years since graduation. We've actually got people who are coming back who graduated 60 years ago. And they will be like all the others. They will bring out their pictures and they'll laugh with each other and say, "You haven't changed a bit." And you'll be able to laugh and say, "Did my hair really look like that? Did I wear it so long that I had to have it flicked out when I put the hood on? Or did I wear those ridiculously high-heeled shoes?" And I'm not sure what the girls will be saying. Take lots of pictures. They're part of those mementos too. Make sure, though, before you leave today, that you return your gowns, either to the tent where you got them from or in the Science Complex atrium where you can also drop them off. And the last thing I have to do is to ask a favor of you. There are a horde of people waiting outside to come in for the next ceremony because we're doing 20 of these this week. And I want to be assured that your future is protected. I don't want you to be crushed by the tsunami of people coming in. So would you mind, once the platform party has left, by exiting through these doors on the side? I celebrate and salute your successes, and I wish you every success in the future. Thank you.
Convocation is dismissed.